Hi, welcome back to Guitar Slinger TV. I'm Jon Bivona.
And I'm Paul Vario. John, scales. You teach a lot of those?
These are scales that do not make you feel fat, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. I mean, you know, reptiles have scales.
Sure they do.
The butcher has scales.
Fish.
Fish, yes.
Yeah.
Quite
not
scaly.
the band Fish.
No. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised with some of those dudes.
True. True.
So,
the scales we are referring to are the major scale, the minor scale, the pentatonic scale, all those good things.
musical scales. Groups of notes that are combined to create a certain type of musical feeling or emotion. And I think today we're going to talk about the major scale.
Yes.
Bright scale.
Yes. Happy.
Joyful. Out of synonyms.
Yes.
So the major scale is a 7-note scale. When I teach them, my students, I sometimes refer to this as a group of scales. I call them the diatonic scales.
Yes.
Those are your 7-note scales. For you fancy guys out there, those are the modes.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the pentatonic scales, the 5-note scales.
Right.
But today, let's just talk about the major scale, what it is, what it sounds like,
Sure.
how to use it, and maybe a couple different ways to play it.
I like it.
Want to
Sounds
lead?
like a plan.
You lead, I will follow.
Okay, we're going to start with a G major open scale. Make it nice and easy, which means it's going to have open strings in it.
Sure.
When
I
you
think
hear-
G's a great key too. You know, you're going to hear us do a lot of stuff in G. It's by far the most common key used on guitar.
Without
if you
a
understand
doubt.
how to play in the key of G really well, you will find you understand music really well.
That was very well said. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you grow a beard like this, there's knowledge.
It's where I store all of my wisdom. Gandalf, Dumbledore, and me.
Exactly. Wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
G major scale.
G major scale. Here we go. So we're going to start on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. And I'm going to play the first octave, which means starting on G and going through all the notes and ending on the next G.
You'll play 8 sounds. 8
Yes,
is
sir.
an oct.
Yes. So.
Sounds like a G major scale to me.
And as we said before, anything major sounds happy.
That's right. I always use Star Wars as the analogy. I'm not going to play the riff, but if you hear like the good guys theme in Star Wars, it's major. And then, you know, Darth Vader comes out or Kylo Ren if you're rocking the new stuff, and it's minor. That composer, he's pretty good.
He knows his major and minor.
He's done this a few times. So yeah, major's bright, minor's dark. And when one of the cool things about learning scales in guitar is because you have 6 strings, it's very easy for us to do a 2-octave scale, pretty much any scale, in position without having to move your hand up or down the neck. So can you do that again, but can you add to it this time? Make it a 2-octave G major scale.
Sure. Here we go. And backwards, descending.
I think that's a great way to learn how to play the G major scale or to learn how to play the major scale on guitar at first.
Sure.
If you're learning how to read music and if you're learning about sight reading, chances are you're working with a book, and that book's going to take you in this position. You're going to learn how to play, you know, the open position or first position on guitar. You'll learn how to play the first 3 frets plus the open strings. So this works really well with that.
Sure.
And
you can,
go ahead.
And you can, even with that scale, start making music with it.
That's really important. Never want to lose focus. I mean, yeah, we're here, we're educating, we're explaining things to you, but we know why you're here, and you know, we know what brought us to the table too. It's music. We want to make music. We want to play music. We want to play songs.
Sure. A lot of people, especially before they start playing, they hear the word scale and like, oh, I got to learn scales up and down. It's just for practice purposes. Nonsense.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Yeah, it's the building blocks of music. If you would like to play melodies, if you'd like to play guitar solos, well, scales are how we do it. If you'd like to learn how chord progressions work as you move from one chord to another, you're playing in a key, you're playing in the scale. So this is a great way not only to train your fingers to know where the notes are on the guitar, they train your eyes to locate it, they train your ears to hear it, You put all these things together, and you're playing with power.
A couple of things also I would like to add. When you are playing the scale, if you can take note to my right hand,
Oh, okay.
I'm always using alternate picking,
Yeah.
which means so the first note will be down, second note will be picked up,
Yeah.
third note down, fourth up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Just like that.
I like to relate it to walking. If you can train yourself to be a good alternate picker, to just, just naturally, just always play guitar with downs, ups, downs, up, downs, ups. There's some musical reasons why you wouldn't, but for the most part, when you're working through a scale or through a melody, if you can train yourself to just do this all the time, your playing is really going to be smooth. As you're trying to play faster parts and at faster tempos, it'll be smooth. And it's sort of like walking down the block.
Sure.
If I go walking down the block,
It's a great analogy.
right, left, right, left, and I suddenly take 2 right steps in a row, what's going to happen to me?
He's going to look like a complete moron.
I'm going to fall on my face. It's the same thing with guitar picking. You're playing through the notes of the scale, alternate, 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 alternate. You double on an up for some bizarre reason, it's probably going to sound terrible.
Sure.
So just think of it like that.
And also, I would like to just take, it's the open major
Yeah.
scale right here, G major scale. But I want to show you, even with this one, we can already make music.
Sure.
If you wouldn't mind, maybe
I'll
playing
give you
rhythm.
a little chord progression. I'll do some easy chords in the key of G.
Fantastic. So right there,
Nice.
you just mix up the notes that are in the scale, you're making music.
Now, I think it's really helpful for guitarists to learn lots of different ways to play the scales. One of the things that makes this instrument a little trickier than maybe some other instruments is we have a lot of duplicates of our notes.
Yes.
What I mean by that is, this E, and this E, and this E, and this E, and this E. Got one more.
Right.
Intonation's bad. But you can hear it. They're all the same pitch. They're all, if you look at them on a guitar tuner today, we tune to the same frequency. And, you don't have that on a piano. In a piano, you have one middle C, and that's it. You can't get that sound, that note, that octave anywhere else.
That's why it's very difficult for guitar players to become prolific.
To be really
reading.
proficient and just be all over the neck. So learning a couple of different ways of doing it is pretty cool.
Yep.
I like doing the same thing as you, but I'll do a 1 finger per fret position. So it's going to be off of the same bass note, and I'm just going to work into,
Yes.
and I'll play through it in position.
Same thing. Same thing. Instead of playing the second note open,
Yep.
he's fingering it here on the 5th fret of the 6th string, which both of these are A notes.
There's a couple of different reasons why I might choose one over the other.
Okay.
If I'm working with a new student, we're just doing easy sight reading, I'm going to be using the open strings all the times. I want something kind of twangy sounding, you know. So sweet. I'll use the open strings all the time. But if I want to use lots of vibrato on something, if I want to extend my reach on the fretboard, so instead of just working up to the 3rd fret, I wanted to work up to the 5th fret notes.
Yes.
If I didn't want the open ringy character, or maybe I wanted to put this into a different key,
Yes.
I would use 1 finger per fret position. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 2, 4, 1, 2. And now I'm playing the same scale. I'm playing in a fretted position. And if I had a song that was in the key of G sharp major, not going to happen. But if I did, I could take the scale,
Yes.
move the G note, which is our starting note,
Right.
our root note. It's where the scale grows up from.
Yes.
Move it over 1 fret to G sharp.
And play the same fingering.
2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3 4 2 4 1 2.
You see, there's not a G major scale and an A major scale that's completely different. It's the same.
Yeah.
They are different with different notes, but the fingering stays consistent.
Yeah.
It's still the same 2 4 1 2 4 1 3 4 1 3 4 2 4 1 2 pattern.
And we're just working our way up the neck. You can play in all 12 keys this way, which is pretty sweet.
It is, and we can even take the open scale and the fretted G major scale and put them together.
Sure.
Combine them in G. Just like that. Different fingerings will give you different ideas and different licks.
Absolutely. I'll give you one more, one I use all the time with my students. There's lots of ways to study scales, and one of them is to think about the way the scales are broken up into whole steps and half steps.
Sure.
It's units of measurement, just the way you would measure, the distance of a room with feet or inches or yards, or if you're using the metric system, with meters. You can measure the distance of one note to another by what are called steps. And on guitar, really easily, the distance of one note to the next is called a half step. And it sounds like Jaws.
Jaws. Shock!
And the distance of one note, skipping over, 2 notes over, is much less threatening. It's called a whole step. So I have a G right there on my 3rd string. And something I do with my students all the time is I'll have them play the scale. Instead of working our way across the guitar neck vertically, we'll move horizontally. And the pattern is, we start with the root note, the note that the scale grows up from, in this case G. Up a whole, half step, whole, half step. If I wanted to go up the next octave, I could, but I'm just working my way. G, A, B, C, D, E. Here's the lone sharp note in the key of G. It's F sharp. And now I have all the notes.
So why don't you give us a little example of taking those
Sure.
notes and mixing them up?
Well, you know what? Sometimes it's kind of fun to move up and down the string from a horizontal perspective.
Sure.
I can slide. I could tremolo pick really easy. Sometimes I'll use the open string to create really large interval jumps. All right, give me a riff. I'll see what we can make happen over it.
That was great. So you can take all 3 of these ideas, put them together, mix them up, come out with your...
You'll see it. You'll come up with different ideas and different sounds for the different approaches to the scale. Guitarists, we're a little more visual maybe than other musicians are.
Definitely.
We're looking at our fingers and frets. We're building shapes and we're seeing patterns. This is a pretty cool approach to it. And
it is.
I like what you did before. You did some really nice open licks. I'm going to pick your brain for those later.
You too.
Not literally pick your brain, just ask you questions.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. We hope that you enjoyed this, and learning how to play the G major scale. It's pretty big stuff. We're happy to show you how we approach it with our students, just a little bit. And we encourage you. Check us out here every week. Click the subscribe button on YouTube, or you can check out our Patreon page. Become a patron. We have lots of extra content for you over there. And this is a good job, John. Thanks, man.
Once again,
I'm going to give you a bump. Okay. First, ready? I'll teach you. It's important.
How do you do it?
Go slow.
Okay.
And blow it up.
Guitar Slinger TV.
Join us.